12 dead after gunmen blast their way into a U.S. consulate in Saudi Arabia. Tonight, President Bush said it proved that the terrorists were still on the move. We'll be assessing what the attack means for the future of Saudi Arabia. Also tonight, in the balance, war of words between Adams and Paisley as the deadline looms for power sharing in Northern Ireland.
If you sin publicly, you have to repent publicly.
Broadcast news, thousands of job losses expected tomorrow at the BBC. And Bernie's battle, Eccleston's fight to keep control of Formula One.
Here in the East Midlands, the latest on the Lincolnshire train crash which killed 2 people. That story and more coming up in 20 minutes.
Good evening. As an obvious prime target, it should have been impregnable. But the American consulate in the Saudi city of Jeddah was today stormed by militants, thought to be supporters of Osama bin Laden's Al-Qaeda. 12 people died in the ensuing gun battle, 4 Saudi security officers and 5 local staff, as well as 3 gunmen, before the situation was brought under control. President Bush said the attack showed that the terrorists were still on the move. Our correspondent Robert Moore is in Washington tonight. Robert?
Trevor, American intelligence agencies had long been warning about the likelihood of another terrorist attack in Saudi Arabia. Security, particularly at US compounds, had been stepped up right across the kingdom, but it still wasn't enough to prevent the storming of one of the best protected diplomatic compounds anywhere in the world.
Right now, there's still smoke rising over the consulate compound.
As the militants stormed the consulate, that smoke was the only sign the assault was underway. The gunmen had grenades and automatic weapons, and as diplomats fled, the battle raged. Security at the compound was already exceptionally high. This is the main entrance, although it seems the gunmen fought their way in through a side gate. But how did the terrorists penetrate one of the most secure complexes in Saudi Arabia? The first sign was an explosion outside, probably grenades. 5 gunmen then stormed the consulate in the daring daytime attack. Saudi guards were killed in the firefight, while American consulate staff fled to a secure area, a pre-designated safe haven. But soon Saudi security forces regained control. 4 of their own troops died in the counterattack, but they killed 3 of the gunmen and captured the 2 others.
The attacks in Saudi Arabia remind us that the terrorists are still on the move.
President Bush praised the Saudis for their quick response, but he has not yet pointed the finger at Al-Qaeda.
As I understand it, several of the attackers died, but several were captured by the Saudi government, and I'm confident they will share the information with us.
It's the latest in a series of attacks by Saudi Arabian militants. Some have involved car bombs on residential compounds used by foreigners, like this one last year.
I'm American.
Others have involved targeting individuals, like American Paul Johnson, who was murdered in June. Each such assault is an attempt to kill Westerners and at the same time destabilize Saudi Arabia. The president does not seem too rattled by the attack. Today he was at the White House enjoying some Christmas festivities with young children. Only behind the scenes are America's intelligence agencies scrambling to thwart the next such Al-Qaeda attack.
Let's go back to Washington now and to join Robert Moore there. Robert, we heard President Bush in your report. Could you give us some sense of how this attack is being seen in the United States?
Well, it was a well-planned, well-executed attack, no question about that, against, of course, a very well-fortified building. There were Saudi National Guardsmen on the outside, US Marines on the inside. So Al-Qaeda is going to regard this as an audacious, successful attack. But so, oddly enough, Trevor, will the US. The US State Department, for example, describing this all as something of a success, pointing out that no Americans were killed, that the terrorists didn't manage to reach the main consular building, and also pointing out that multiple layers of security actually work. So in the battle of perceptions, both Al-Qaeda and America can claim some success. The US State Department spokesman put it this way tonight. He said, chalk one up for us against the terrorists.
But Robert, does the State Department also think that the terrorists will try again?
Well, two schools of thoughts on that, Trevor. One school of thought simply saying that this could be the last gasp of desperate terrorists, effectively weakened by successful counter-terrorism operations by the Saudi. But another school of thought, perhaps more realistic and probably shared, I think, by most US intelligence analysts, is this could be the start of a new terrorist offensive by al-Qaeda cells, strengthened al-Qaeda cells now operating inside Saudi Arabia.